Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting collection reflection video where I take the time out of the week just to pull something on my shelf. Could be a game, could be a limited edition, could be a console. This is my one time a week to be able to sit down and talk to y'all about something within my gaming library. And for today, we're going to be talking about none other than Pokemon Ranger. Yes, I had to pop up an image for this because as I was trying to shoot this video, I was like, man, I had the actual case for this game and I actually don't. I don't know. Every other game past this point, I managed to somehow keep the cases for, but I guess it's just one of the games I just didn't. So just bear with me on that one though. But at least for me, Pokemon Ranger meant so much for me, especially since, during this time, Pokemon started getting a little bit crazy with their spinoffs. Like, yeah, Pokemon Ranger. You had over there the Mystery Dungeon stuff. I remember stuff on Wii with Pokepark and stuff. It felt like you were having spinoffs for Pokemon games left and right, at least especially in the DS Wii era right here though. But at least for me personally, Pokemon Ranger, for the 3 games they managed to give us for that trilogy, man, that was glorious. That was some good spin-off era right there though. So I had to talk about this within my series right here though. So that's what we're going to be talking about for today though. So if you really like this video, make sure you're going to hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Pokemon Ranger. Now this I remember these commercials when they first were announcing these games, and I was like, I knew a little bit about, I think at the time, Mystery Dungeon and stuff though, but I was looking at Pokemon Ranger and looking at all the commercials and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's different. Like, we knew Pokemon at the time. You used to going around, at least during that Gen 4 era, just running around throwing Pokeballs to capture Pokemon at the time. You train them, level them up, battle and stuff though. The concept of actually looping and capturing them temporarily to help you out with everyday tasks or like missions to get you through a point A to a point B, I never thought about that personally though. And I guess, the Pokemon Company was getting very experimental with this. I don't even remember they did these like collaborations. I think, what was it? Pokemon Ranger, was it the Manatee movie and stuff like that? Had like a little tie-in with Pokemon Ranger and stuff. So they try to, advertise and just kind of get it out there though. But it's interesting. Pokemon Ranger had that very different, unique approach. Obviously, this one I felt like really took advantage of the Nintendo DS back in the day, because obviously you had the dual screens though. But really, primarily, I would say 90% of the game you were doing on that bottom screen, albeit it was a little bit smaller and stuff though. But I mean, the only thing you use the top screen for is just to see what Pokemon you might have had captured and some of their stats though. But outside of that, all the action went down on the bottom screen. Can't say that about too many games, at least when in the DS era. You had some, here and there though, but not extensively like Pokemon Ranger though. But literally, you start off the game, you get to choose either a boy or girl. You literally get introduced into this like water town, or basically like a sea dock area, and you're just going through. You have like mining or puzzle, depending on if you're the boy or the girl protagonist, and they have like a little partner Pokemon, where it kind of makes it a little bit easier to capture though. But at least within this game, you're supposed to loop the stylus around the Pokemon set given times. Weaker Pokemon, you don't have to loop it as many times. Stronger Pokemon, you gotta loop it a little bit more though. But the skill behind the whole thing was to try to capture it as fast as possible without having the Pokemon either ram into your stylus, loop, or have them attacking it. Because once they do that, your stylus gets a little bit of damage done to it, and then albeit you got to start all over though. Now it's a little different, at least within the first Pokemon Ranger, in comparison to like the sequels with Shadows of Almia and Guardian Signs. Because at least with those later iterations, you can do a few loops, pick up the stylus, and then put a few more loops as long as you do it within a set time frame though. But this first game, it was pretty tough because you had to do it all consecutively without letting up. Like, you have to find the exact right moment of it though. So it made the first thing, I think, a little bit more challenging though. But at least given the style of this game, the story had a much bigger emphasis, because that was just your capturing mechanics though. This one definitely really felt like an RPG in the sense that, hey, you had these certain characters, you interacted with other people, and you were just kind of going through this whole entire Fior region and trying to help people out with their everyday tasks. You will capture a Pokemon, and then, you know, depending on what kind of stats they bring, like maybe they have like a shove 2 ability, so they're able to like push a boulder or maybe smash something along the way or pick up a log or move it out the way. I mean, that's the whole point of capturing Pokemon is just basically have a buddy beside you for a given mission, help you kind of get through all of these different paths, and then, you know, try to get to your end game and stuff. Now, obviously, you had like an evil antagonist team that will literally try to capture their own Pokemon and try to send it out after you, and you have to recapture it from them to actually release it, though. And it's kind of interesting because, you know, in regular Pokemon games, you can't capture the other person's Pokemon. That's just it, though. But, you know, Ranger games, they actually kind of delve into that. Thinking back at it, that's kind of interesting right there, though. But at least with these Ranger games, it was really unique for the style of games that they managed to give us for these 3 individual games within this series, though. But I've been hammering on Nintendo on and on and on. Where the heck is like my remaster, remake, or just a brand new series for Pokemon Ranger? Like we managed to get new mystery dungeon games, Pokemon Company, but like where the heck is my Pokemon Ranger games at, man? I know it's a little bit tough because you dealt with dual screens and you mess with a stylus and stuff, though. But I mean, the Switch is handheld. I'll be fully willing just to play the thing handheld and just use my finger, or maybe a stylus you managed to sell with the game. Like, come on. There's got to be some kind of compromise with this, or maybe like a revision or reimagining of the Pokemon Ranger series. So I just think there's a lot of promise up in there, because at least the way how they tell the story within these set games, it's extremely phenomenal. And I remember even thinking back to like the final boss of this one game in particular, like you're going through and trying to capture all 3 of the legendary dogs in a row. And I was like, what the heck? That was challenging. If I remember right, I thought Raikou was first, and then Suicune, and then you have to work your way to Entei. So I can't say how many times I was looping that screen around so fast and trying to wrap it around real quick just to try to capture those legendaries before they managed to run into the thing. Because some of them were really fast, really agile and stuff. You have to wait until they wear themselves out and stuff. There was a little bit of strategy, at least within this thing, though. And I think, unfortunately, my DS took a pretty good beating, at least within this game, because now when I look back at my original Nintendo DS, like I originally had the fat Nintendo DS. Like that's the one I had growing up. And I never really had like another revisioning of the DS. Like my brother managed to get the DS Lite, like a blue version of it, though. And then, you know, next thing I happened to get was like the Nintendo 3DS and stuff, though. But I didn't know the more times you kind of use that stylus on the pen on your DS, that bottom screen got torn into, like, I think there was like a protective film over it. And I tore through that and got into the layers below it, though. And now it's like, you know, if you tap somewhere on the screen, it kind of offsets and you might want to hit in the center of the screen, but it's actually choosing it on the left-hand side of the screen. No, I don't know, but that DS has seen some better days. Like that thing's torn up. Like not even the top screen works anymore, though. But luckily I had the 3DS to play my DS games, though. But nonetheless, though, I love that game so much. I nearly tore that thing and put that Nintendo DS halfway down into the grave, though. But nonetheless, though, I remember having some really good fun times, at least playing that game. And, you know, obviously what you having to hold the DS with one hand and then having to hold the stylus in the other one, I learned real quick how to play on my knee and, you know, just go to town on that game, though. But I love a lot of the story arcs up in there. I think it's hard without me giving away the story, all the elements that was actually included within that game. Like I actually went through it and played this game, I want to say maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 different times at, you know, at least within the back of my memory, I'm pretty sure. And I do remember they used to do cool little events like the Manaphy Egg mission. Like that was the only way how you managed to get the Manaphy Egg within your Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum games right there. It's literally, you had this one mystery game, which, you know, nowadays I doubt you can replicate this really well because most people probably redeem this within most of their copies of Pokemon Ranger. But it was like some kind of combination of buttons. Like you hold the L, R, start select or something like that, and then boom, the Manaphy Egg mission will load up. However, if somebody already activated that on a said cartridge, then you can go through and play the event again, but you want to be able to actually transfer that egg over, though. And then Almia and Guardian Science did Manaphy Egg missions again, but they did it a little bit differently via Wi-Fi connection or whatever, though. But at least with this one, this is like a natural way of doing it, but I don't know how many copies out there still have that, egg mission intact though. But that was really cool seeing events handled like that handled back in the day differently like that. But nonetheless though, I have some really strong memories, and my childhood is like extensively connected within the Pokemon Rangers series though. They don't make the spin-off Pokemon games like they used to. I mean, some people like Pokemon Snap. I mean, Mystery Dungeon was cool. For me personally, like, I would say Sky, Darkness, those two were the peak of the Mystery Dungeon series, and since then I felt like I hasn't gotten that good. I'll probably talk about that game at some point in the future though, because oh gosh, I got a lot of stuff to say about that. But honestly, if you hadn't played the Pokemon Rangers series, I highly recommend you to just try that out at some point though. Obviously, I feel like the best experience is to have a 3DS or Nintendo DS, because if you were to try to emulate it though, good luck trying to replicate the stylus experience. It's not the same. So you got to use original hardware on that though. But that's pretty much it in terms of what I wanted to say. What Pokemon Ranger, great and phenomenal game, and definitely defined my childhood experience right there. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Have you ever managed to play Pokemon Ranger? Are you like a candidate like me who was like, hey, Nintendo, get with the Pokemon company, find some way, outsource it, do something, try to bring Pokemon Ranger back within modern times. You brought Pokemon Snap back, you brought Mystery Dungeon back. It's gosh bygone time that we should have Pokemon Ranger in some shape, form, or capacity available either on the Nintendo Switch or whatever happens to be the future successor for the Nintendo console though. But let me know all your thoughts down below. But that's gonna basically do it in terms of today's video though. So if you really like this, make sure you're gonna hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.